That's just going to shuffle. That's just going to shuffle the order of the blocks. So in this case, the students would see the blocks in a different order each time they load the page. Moving down the page, the next thing that we can edit is a block or a section. If you're a real OG, you know we used to refer to them as sections, but now each of these is a block. If I click the settings icon for any block, that will let me change, well, in this one, it will let me delete the block because that's the only block level settings that you have for can-do statements. So I'm going to go down to the multiple choice section here. Again, if I click settings, this will let me change things like the point value per question. So I know a lot of teachers like to change the point value, and now this is a 3-click process rather than going into the editor and renaming. And there were a lot more steps in the past. I won't dwell on that. But now it really is just about a 3-click process. So that's made things much easier in terms of adjusting the point value. Depending on the block type, so as you saw with the can-dos, we didn't have all of these options, but depending on the block type, you'll have different options in the settings. So you'll be able to make something a survey if it's multiple choice. You can try to think of any others off the. You can make a content block teacher only. So there's just different options depending on the type of content there. Almost every type of block will allow you to randomize the questions, so that will randomize the order each time the page is loaded. Or we can randomize the multiple choice options. Again, this one only applies to multiple choice, but you'll see different options for sorting, matching, things like that. The next is the number of questions to show in this block. Now, this one is one I do get a few questions about. This particular block only has one question in it, but let's say we're in a block that has 10 questions in it. I can set it to show only 5 questions to each student. When I do that, it's going to show each student a different selection of 5 of the 10 questions each time they load the page. So that's helpful if you're doing an assessment or something where you don't want everyone to have the exact same set of questions in the exact same order. I skipped right over this, but here at the top we have the directions. So this, as always, you can type the directions to your students. This isn't a question. This is just what they should do with the content in this block. So you might say, choose the best answer for each question, something along those lines. And as we've always had, you do have the text formatting options here. So you can use bold, italics. You can actually insert audio into the directions or into a question. You can insert images, links, videos, just about anything that you'd want to add. One I do always like to touch on is the popover text. So if I highlight a word here in my directions, and I click this little speech bubble icon for the popover. What would the popover for this be? Let's just go example and then insert popover. So now when the students hover over that word, they'll see my popover text. When I'm done editing the block settings, I go ahead and click Save Changes. And now I'm going to see that reflected immediately on the page. There's no extra save, there's no extra refresh. We can see those changes right away. We can see that pop over. The other things I added weren't necessarily visible, changing things like the order and the shuffle, but you can see right away we've got that pop over text.
Kelsey said there's no extra save. There is another save when you're done with all of the editing. Down in the bottom right, there's a save button to hit.
Yes, my apologies.
But that's the only other save once you're done.
Yes, there's a final save. I'm so sorry about that. But yes, there is a final save. You can also save, if you just want to save every time you change something, you can save and you'll stay in edit mode. And then the second icon is going to save and exit edit mode. Let's see one other. I need to just check. Yep. So this is just another example. So as I had said, there's different settings for different types of blocks. So this is just an example of what another one might look like. So if you're looking and you say, oh, I really wanted to make it a survey, but I don't see that option, it just means that that type of content can't be turned into a survey or can't be made teacher only or whatever setting it is. So if you ever run into that and you want to know which block type should I use to do this, just give us a call or an email. We'd be more than happy to help you out with that as well. All right, so the next part would be adding content to a block. So when we talk about editing, we've got the two levels that we've already covered, the page details and the block or section details. Next is adding content to a block. So in each square, you'll see the option to add question or add content. Um, that's also kind of a little trick for knowing what type of block you have there, although it's also going to be listed right here at the top of the block as well. So if I click add question, that's going to give me the question options. These again are going to look really similar to what was in the editor before, if you've used the editor previously, but it's just obviously a lot cleaner now and a lot easier to reach. So here I'm typing in, and this is again a multiple choice. So I'm typing in a question. Let's just say, what day is it? My creative juices aren't running as much as they normally do this morning, but or this afternoon. So I'm going to type in what day is it, and then a correct answer and an incorrect answer. If I want there to be more than two options, I just click add another option, and now I can type another incorrect answer. Again, we've got lots of different formatting options. We can have an audio question, we can have an image. We'll do an audio one in just a moment. We also have the popover text and accents here and special punctuation. I can choose any of these to be the correct answer, so it doesn't have to be the first one, but it will shuffle that order of the responses if you choose that in the block settings. So you could shuffle them yourself, or you could edit those block level settings to shuffle automatically. Then here you see it's going to be automatically selected for some types of questions to auto grade this question. So multiple choice is going to be auto graded pretty simply with that correct answer. Or we can make the question a model, which means students won't answer it. It'll show as a model at the top of the page. Again, we'll just save the changes and then we can continue editing the page. So if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, I can click add block. So this is going to let me add a new block to the page. Add a block. We're going to see options for all of the different types of content that you can add here in Voces. Content only will be things like a story. If you're using Nuestra Historia or any of the Our Story series, those will be just basically text or images. Basically, content only means students won't be putting any input into that block. Small text before question has a blank and then the question listed. Multiple choice. We have the blog format, the email, photo capture where students are uploading an image, matching, can-do statements. You can add your own can-do statements or slideshows, text entry options, tweets. So you can see there's a lot here. A new vocabulary section, interactive videos. I'm going to add audio recording for now. This one is very, very popular, and so I want to make sure we have an example of this, and then we'll take a look at some of the others as well. So with audio recording, we'll always be typing in the directions to the students first. So if we're creating an audio recording section and we just want the students to do maybe a presentational speaking task, we can write out the prompt in the directions, but that won't create a space for the students to record just yet. So we do also need to add a question. Just something to keep in mind as you're creating a recording activity, that first we're giving just the directions. So we might say, read the prompt and record your response. Or you can leave this blank and just add the questions on the next step. So again, here we can change the number of questions to show or the point value and then create that block. Now, this is what I mean. So there's no actual record button just yet. That's because we first have to add a question. And that's, I think, the word question sort of trips us up sometimes. So it's a question or a prompt. So here in the question, I might say, talk about your school schedule, noting when you eat lunch, just whatever it is you want them to tell. Now, recording activities can't be auto graded, so you'll notice there's not an option there, but you can have suggested answers. You could also record audio if you want the students to listen to the prompt rather than read it. And to do that, oops, you just click that microphone icon, and then you can either upload a file or click the button there to record live. So now we're recording the prompt for the students. They would listen to this prompt and then record their audio. Once you click stop, you can preview your audio. If you're happy with it, go ahead and insert, or just click record again if you want to re-record it. We'll insert the audio, and then we'll go ahead and save the changes. Now you can see there's the option for the students to listen to that prompt as well as to start recording. So like I say, just keeping in mind with recording that you have to have at least one question or prompt added with the add question button in order to have the recording options. Now I'm going to click add block again, and now I'm going to show importing a block. We click import existing block, and that will let us choose which book first. So this is one of the very exciting new features of editing, is that we can import content right on the page from any title. We don't need to share with ourselves and then load it in. We can just select a title from this list. And then let's see, we'll go to activity 1. You have a preview of the page and of the block that you can import. And so now I'll go ahead and click import
Nope,
block.
don't click import block yet. You haven't selected a block. Click on that.
Oh,
That
perfect.
highlights it.
So it's highlighted in orange now. Thank you, Chris. So you click on the block you want to import and it will be outlined in orange, and then click import block. It's so new and exciting. I'm still getting, I can't quite do this one in my sleep yet. We'll get there. So now if we go all the way to the bottom, we see that is the block that I just imported. Now, maybe I don't want every single question. Maybe I just want to remove the model. I don't need a model in that block. So I can click the trash can icon. That will prompt me to make sure I'm sure, and will delete that question. So now the model is no longer there. I can also click the pencil icon. That will open up the edit content box here where I can edit the question itself. I can edit the suggested answers, turn on or off auto grading, add other possible answers, make that one. You can see there's lots of options, right? So we can edit each question as well. Save changes. We can also drag and drop to move the order of the questions. So I'm just clicking on the 4 arrows and dragging and moving around the questions so that they're in the order that I want them.
So
Mhm.
Kelsey, I'm going to jump in. Just one thing to
Absolutely.
note with making moving easier. On each of the sections next to the gear, yep, there's that icon. If you do that, that's going to collapse the questions inside of there. Since if you've got a lot on the page, that can be a challenge. And then if you go all the way up to the top, if you're rearranging the all of the different blocks, then if you hit that one, yep, that one there, that's going to collapse all of those just to make that a little bit easier when you've got a giant page like this. And yes, Darlene, they don't change immediately, but once you save the page, it does renumber based on the order they're in. Okay,
Awesome.
back
Thanks,
to you,
Chris.
Kelsey.
Yep. So yeah, so the collapse is again one of the newer things, very exciting, and it does make it much easier to move things around. So once you have it collapsed, or even if you don't have it collapsed, you can drag and drop the sections or the blocks themselves by using the little 6 dots on the left. So I click and drag, and then it's going to move it and put it in the right order. All right. Oops. So as far as page editing, that's I think most of the new features, and I even when I go to talk about editing now, I think that can't be all, right? There's got to be more steps to this. There's got to be more because it seems like such a powerful tool, and we've made it so simple to use. Um, are there any questions about editing a page, a block, or content within a block?
I was expecting Hannah to ask, why don't content managers get to do that? Um,
I I was
y-
thinking this as I was playing around with it this morning. It's like, wow, really should be able to edit pages like this while I'm actually building the content.
so in the past, I always said that teachers had access to the same tools that our content managers have. Well, now teachers have access to better tools than our content managers have until I get that all sorted out for them.
The teacher experience is more important, and I'm already used to how the menu builder is on our side. So,
Well, now that you're used to it, I know I need to change it.
we did have a person who was interested in looking how slideshows work.
Yeah.
Maybe you can take a look. Maybe at the PQA page, you could open that one or just build a new.
Oh, yeah, probably easier to edit one, huh? I'm going to go ahead and save and edit to exit this particular edit. So as I said, it's the middle icon down here in the bottom, the one that has the out arrow. So we'll save and stop editing. You can see all of the changes that we made. But yes, we're going to go to a PQA page and we'll take a look at slideshows. So with slideshows, we've made a few changes to them. You'll notice they're a little bit cleaner, sleeker, with the next arrows being not quite as separate, I guess is the word I was looking for. So that's just sort of the first thing to note there, but we're going to go ahead and edit. And when we edit a slideshow, you're going to see each slide in the section or in the block. So again, as Chris mentioned, we can collapse them and we can see or just sort of go into each one um, as needed, but with the edit. So here we can see each slide laid out. Maybe I want to edit this one. Again, I would just click the pencil icon there. And that's going to let me edit the content on that particular slide. I can add a caption, I can add images, audio, all that good stuff. And then if I wanted to add a new slide, going down to the bottom of the block, add slide. And then here we're typing in the content. And again, it's one of those things where it looks like, oh, all I can do is type, but you do need to make sure you're looking at these options as well, because we can add a video to a slide, a link, we can add an image, a recording. So you can add anything you can add to like a Google slide or PowerPoint slide. Pretty much you can add to a Voces slide as well. So example of slide, and let's see if I have one. I want it to be like, I don't know what any of these are.
They are telling me, as they are telling me.
I don't want to choose a file that like has someone's information in it. So I don't want to choose a file without knowing exactly what it is. But you can choose a file here. You can use an image URL. So if that image is hosted somewhere, like in your Google Drive, you can do that. You can also do a detailed description for the pop-up of that image, alt text. We would just note that if you're using something that's under copyright, you should use the attribution and copyright information, and that you have the rights to use it. I don't know that anything would come of it if you did it, but we always recommend making sure you do have rights to use any images or videos. So then once we're happy with the slide, again, just save changes, and it's going to add that slide into the slideshow. Did that help answer the question about how slides work? Awesome. So another thing, someone was asking, I did see someone asking about the permanence of these changes, and Chris mentioned in the chat, any changes you make are going to stick with your account as long as you'd like them. We do have a way to restore the default, so you can always go back to the original, whether it's a specific page or the entire menu. Import slides from elsewhere. I know you used to be able to from Google.
So it's not so much an import as an embed. Let me double check and make sure Google hasn't changed how that works, and then I'll show that a little bit farther into this.
Okay, perfect. So the next thing I was going to touch on is editing our menu. So a lot of teachers will want to edit maybe the order of the content, or maybe we want to import some content from Puro Mundo, or whatever it is, we want to change the menu a little bit. We want to change the order. Maybe we want to hide some things from our students. So that's all going to be done right here in the directory now. You can actually even, once you open the directory, if you click the pencil icon here at the top, you'll see the options here to edit the menu. Once we click that, you'll see again the option to save and exit, or cancel. If I click on any section, you can see I have options for each page and each subsection as well. To edit a page, or to edit many things about the page, we're going to click the toolbox icon to the right of the page name. This is going to give us our page options or section options, depending. Things like renaming the activity, making it teacher only, disabling, duplicating, or deleting. Rename is just what you think. It's going to let me rename the page. If I click make teacher only, that's going to add that apple icon, which means students won't see that page in their directory or in their menu anymore. A lot of teachers will do this with maybe sections they know they won't use. Maybe they're hiding, unit 5 and 6, or maybe they're hiding specific material within the section. So maybe I know I don't really like this long story 3. I know I'm not going to use it. I'm going to make it teacher only so my students can't go to it. Or maybe I know I'm going to use that long story as a quiz, so I'm going to hide it so they can't see it until I'm ready for them to see it. Now, if I want to make it student visible again, I just click the toolbox and then remove teacher only. That's going to take the apple away, and now students can see it in their directory again. Going back to a specific page, we can also disable the page. That's going to hide it for both the teacher and the student, so you won't see them in your, well, you'll see it, but it'll be crossed out in the teacher menu. Students won't see it. We can also delete, which will remove it from the menu entirely. As I said, we can always replace it. So if you accidentally delete something, it's absolutely something we can help you fix. We can also duplicate that page. So if we wanted to make 2 versions of an assessment, or 2 versions of a story, whatever it is, we can duplicate and then edit one or both of those pages. So the duplication, much simpler than it was. Teacher only, all of it is very accessible right here in the directory now. We can also really easily drag and drop. So again, the four corner arrow, if I click that, I can move that page around. I can also take it and put it into a different section. So I just want to make sure that section is expanded first. Yep, there we go. Once it's expanded, I can drop that into a different section. So yep, moving, very easy. Then I can also, within a particular unit or section, anything with a drop down with this arrow next to it is what we call a section. So that will have a little bit different options than the page, but really it's just add a page or add a subsection are the two new ones here. So if I wanted to add a new page to Unit 4, I just click Add a Page. Now here I can either start with a blank page, which is there's nothing on it. I'm going to choose if it's points, rubric, I'm going to give it a name, all that. So it's just starting right from scratch. I can also add a previously created or an unlinked page. So that's if I've created a page, but it's not in my directory, it's not live right now, I can add it from this button. So that's going to give me any pages or edits or versions of pages that I have that aren't currently live. Yours shouldn't look quite like this. Mine's got a lot because I do a lot of playing around with things. So yours shouldn't have quite so much. Then I can also import a page. Now again, I can do this from any title. So if I go Voces Pro Mundo 1, Chapter 1, I'm going to import Activity 4 here. It's going to give me a preview of that page. You don't have to select this time. You don't have to click. You just go ahead and click Import this page. And it's going to import that into Unit 4. Right? Is that where I was? Geez, Louise, I should have checked. It's going to import it directly into that section that you clicked next to, but I wasn't paying enough attention to where I was clicking. My apologies. Awesome. And so then the next thing is importing a section. So Martha was asking there in the chat, if I import from a different title, where does it go in the directory? Let's do one more page import where I'll pay a little more attention. So I'm going to put it into Historieta 1 in Unit 1. And I'm going to go add a page, import a page. We'll just choose, let's choose alphabet and import page. So it's going to add it at the end of the section that I added it to. So once I import, it's going to be all the way at the bottom of that section. So you can see at the bottom of Historieta 1 is that alphabet vocabulary page that I just imported. Then if I scroll to the bottom of the menu, I can add a new section. So this, again, I can create a new one or import. We're going to go import and we'll go to Promundo 1. I can preview what's in that section before importing it. I'm looking for one there we go. So I'm going to import this final exam. And to do that, I'm going to click this little paper with an arrow icon. It's going to ask me, am I sure? It could take a few minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and click import now. That one won't take 5 minutes. That's why I picked one with a little less content in it. The time it takes to import will depend on how much is actually in that section. And again, it's going to add that all the way down here at the bottom. So the final exam is added at the very bottom of my directory. Again, real easy though. If I wanted to move it up, I just click and drag and I can move that around pretty easily. Once I'm done editing my menu, just go ahead and that save and exit again. It's going to be the save with the arrow. And the hovering over it does tell you as well, save menu and stop editing or just save menu. But I'm going to go ahead and save menu and exit. And now you'll see we're just back on the page we were on. Chris, did I miss anything big or small?
Not that I noticed, but I was trying to figure out the slideshow import thing at the same time. So I wasn't completely paying attention.
I'm pretty sure those are all the major points. So are there any other questions about editing or version 4 and editing?
So I've got a couple of editing notes to show.
Okay, do you want to share
Um,
your screen?
yeah, that's probably easier. I set it up on this page. One of the things I was going to show was how to add a Google slideshow, but that's not working correctly. I think it has to do with all of the prevent students from pasting into a text box stuff that I put in place. Um, that is now blocking me from adding in a slideshow from Google. So I'm going to figure out why and get that to stop happening. But there's something else that I
Really
saw.
quickly, because I'm not sure exactly the answer. If one person in a department makes the edit, since we don't have the sharing library active right now, is there a way to share those with each other?
Okay, so the sharing library will be back soon. I would say within the next week or two. That said, I did come up with a way while I was putting all of this together that we've got at least 2 schools that are going to be using where I can set one menu in a district as the default menu. So as it is right now, everybody's default menu is our menu. I can change that. So if you are whether the overly ambitious or the one who just got tasked with it, and your menu is kind of that core menu that you want everybody else in the district to use, that can become all of those other teachers' default menu. And then they can still make changes from it, but their base menu is yours instead of ours, if that makes sense. Um, so that's one option for that, kind of making sure one menu works across the district or is there across the whole district. What I wanted to show here was we track changes that happen now. So I edited this page to just add some extra text to the end of the question. If I go into edit, I have one more icon here, which is the log of changes. If I click on that, I see that at 126, that question got changed and it was previously this. So if I went, you know what, I don't like the change I made, I could come in here, copy that out and put it back there, or know what it was before at least. So that was just one thing I thought of while I was trying to do slideshows. And I'll let Jacqueline, I'll especially let you know once I get that slideshow thing fixed, because it is really easy to do once it's working. And yes, the idea is that you can embed just about anything if you get that embed code. So like Google can, and I can show you where that is, even though it can't be pasted in yet. Let me bring this over here. So this is I surprisingly don't have a lot of slideshows. So this is a charcuterie board contest that we did across our team. And this is Marie's, which was by far the most professional looking. So if I wanted to embed that, once that's functioning correctly, I would go File, Share, and Publish to Web. And then from in here, I go over to Embed, pick my settings, and once I hit Publish, that's when this iframe source code appears. You would copy that out and paste it in over here. You would just paste it right into this box. And if it weren't erroring in the background, your slideshow would just appear there. and then you can navigate through it, everything. So same with anything that you can get a external iframe embed code for.
Okay, so where did you start with that process?
So I started with having the slideshow open,
Okay,
file, share, publish to web.
open file or slides, share, publish to web, and it gives you the embed code.
So then there you have the link or the embed options. You want to select embed,
Okay,
and then you have to hit publish.
embed code.
Let's see if I change that. Yeah, so this is what it looks like when you first start.
Uh-huh.
And then when you hit publish, that's when you get that code.
And then okay.
Then you take that code, you copy it, and we go back to Voces. I created a content only block here, and I click add content.
Okay, create a content only block.
You could also do it in at least in the instructions for any other blocks. I wouldn't recommend putting it like as the question for a multiple choice to embed a slideshow. That might be a little much. So then once you add
Okay.
content, then you'll just paste it into this content box.
Okay, and that could be a song or a picture dictionary
Yes,
or
a lot of
possibly
it
a slideshow.
a lot of it depends on what the sites have as far as external embed options. I know you can do those same steps with just about anything that you've got in Google. If you've got videos, Word docs, spreadsheets, all of those have that publish to web where you can do an embed. And what it will look like, because I can bypass the blocker at the moment. So then we can see it right here. And it can get cycled
That'd be
through.
nice. Those are nice. Well done.
Yeah, everybody really stepped up their game on that one, probably except for me. I don't think I did. Hold on, can we find mine?
Nobody
Oh.
tore open a Lunchable and tried to pass it off.
Hold on, there's Neil's, which is a charcuterie board of charcuterie boards.
Nice. My boys make those charcuterie boards for their teachers. They would really like those.
Hannah with a bunch of knitting projects. Where is my,
Ah,
there we go. There's my charcuterie.
that's a lot of toe shoes.
It is.
Okay, so then we paste, and it can be a video, a Word doc, or a song.
Michelle asked about PowerPoint. I haven't used PowerPoint in a while. If it's a web-based PowerPoint, it probably has a similar option. If you make changes to your Google, yes, if you make changes in Google, it will apply into, basically when you embed it, it's just basically creating a connection to that original file. So any changes you make will keep showing up, which is basically what Hannah said in less words.
So if that content is removed from YouTube, it will obviously like crash and have
Correct.
code
If you
no longer there.
if you delete the slide from Google, it'll come up with some error not found message.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But it could reduce a lot of clicking and back and forth, like having 20 tabs open for songs and games. And
I've seen teachers embed things from Quizlet, Loom videos, things like that as well.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely put our Quizlet link right in the vocab section. And the songs, my kids love Rockalingua, and they're high schoolers, you know, but they still love songs and games and center time.
And just shared with the YouTube embed, but you can also add YouTube easily by just hitting the video button. So you shouldn't have to do an embed that kind of workaround.
Wait, say that again?
So for adding YouTube videos, hold on a second, I'll share again. So if I want to add a YouTube video, if I click video here, I can just put in a YouTube share or a YouTube video URL. So let's see what's going to show up on YouTube.
But you still start with add content.
Yep. So you start with
blank
add content.
page, content only.
And then I'm trying to find a.
Video URL.
And if I find a video here.
Are you going golfing? No. No. Do I need to take you?
And I just paste that there. That will link up right away. I don't have to do any extra embed steps.
Uh-huh. Okay. Ooh, I want to go there so bad.
I considered it, Hannah. I did briefly consider it.
I was shocked when you didn't.
Martha, just the adding the YouTube video? So I'll delete this whole content block and start from the beginning. So I clicked on here to edit my page. Then I go down to the bottom and I hit add block, selecting content only. No extra changes needed here. So now I've got my content block. I'm going to add content. And from here, I click on the video icon. Then I've got my YouTube URL already. I'll paste that and click insert video. And then I can save the changes. And there it is.
Chris,
After
just
I
one
save.
thing. Attempting to do that, adding in the YouTube video for the ABCs, so I can just play that directly from the notes page. But as I'm trying to move it to the top of the page, it's not auto scrolling to the top, so I can't get it past a few of the spots.
So that's where if you collapse, if you scroll up to the top and collapse, that'll help you get it moved up a little bit easier. Because that auto scroll is a little bit touchy right now. It seems to work sometimes and not others, depending on what's being moved. So that's one of the reasons we added in the collapsing.
Thank you.
So another option, if I want to add a video in here, is I could add an interactive video activity. Watch and answer questions. YouTube link. I believe I can just add that link. So now I've got that, and I can click add question. And I've got my 7 different types. So we'll go with a multiple choice. We'll just put it at 10 seconds in. And I'll see my questions underneath there as I add them. When I save and stop editing, I've got my initial version up top, but then here's the version that I just embedded. And if I turn it down just in case and hit play, we'll see that when we hit the 10-second mark, it will pop up and ask me a question without my options. Cool. If Neil's here, make a note of that. And so similar to like an ed puzzle, you can add that in as needed. And I don't know if Neil made it in here, so I need to make my own note.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying enough attention, or I would have noted it for you.
This is so wonderful. I was just talking with another teacher last week about, should I look into Nearpod? I haven't looked at it since like 2021. And she said, oh, I use Nearpod and it's awesome because you can put all that stuff together and incorporate it. But now I can just pull that stuff this way.
That's the goal, is for you to kind of be able to put as much in here as possible.
And I never used Edpuzzle. I didn't even get that far, but it looks cool. And this makes it really easy. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions about editing for me or Kelsey? Preferably Kelsey. And I can go back to not talking. And trying to fix these new issues that I've found today.
I have a feeling we'd find a couple for you. We made ed puzzle.
I don't know if Edpuzzle has an embed option. If they do, then you can once I fix the embedding. All right. Well, if there's no other questions right now, what do we have? How to change English to target in the instructions. So when you're editing anything, so if I want this to be in Spanish, you would just click the edit here, and then you can retype this in the target language. There's no auto translate feature. It doesn't look like, at least my right click doesn't have it. Depending on what plugins you've got on your browser, you might be able to translate it. I saw Kelsey's had some translate pop-up that showed up at one point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was in editing. Let me check.
But you can do that to edit those, or if it is kind of the instructions above, you would hit the gear for that block, and then you could put the overall block directions there in any language you like.
Yeah, I'm gonna replace you. When I go to edit, I have the translate, this little pop-up guy. And if I click it, it will open Google Translate on the, well, the last time I did it, it did a new tab, but now it's doing it here on the page. So that I could, I mean, either way, obviously this one's going Spanish to English, but I could go either way and copy it, and then replace it with just a paste. So I think Chris is right. It just depends. If you have that browser extension enabled, you'll be able to translate them pretty easy. Yes, so there was a question, can you have every question is in a block, and that is correct. So each question has to be within a block, and the type will depend on the block type. So for example, I want to find that final exam, there we go. So for example, on this page, we have some different types of questions. So this is small text before question. We have some multiple choice further down the page. So when I'm editing, I can, in the full width text entry block, I can only add questions that are full width text entry. I can't add a multiple choice question to that block. But if I want to add multiple choice to the page, I could simply add a new block and choose multiple choice as the block type. So it's just, that's sort of how it's organized. There are 3 levels to each page. There are the page details, which is it rubric graded or points graded? Are all the blocks showing those initial settings we looked at? Then there's a block, which has your directions to the student. It's the type of activity or the type of questions or content. And then there are the questions or the content within the block. Oh, and that actually is a great question there in the chat. So with vocabulary, so in every chapter and every unit, there's a vocabulary list that has everything from that unit or chapter. And this page, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, because now I should have checked this first. Can we still not edit the vocab on this page directly?
So the page you're thinking of isn't in Nuestra Historia. It's
Oh.
in like Poro Mundo.
Yeah, let's
But
go take a look
if
at one.
if you edit the vocab anywhere else in a unit, it will update here automatically. Same with if you go to tools, there's a vocabulary list in there as well.
But would I be able to, I guess I could just try, right?
Correct. You can't edit from there.
Yeah, so that's a question I get, not a lot, but pretty often when teachers are editing is, I want to edit this vocabulary list at the end of the unit. So like Chris said, if I edit anywhere else, if I go to of course I picked a high level that I don't speak Spanish, makes it a little harder. But if I change the vocabulary blocks on any other page, it will update on that end of chapter. So there's got to be. Of course, I can't find one.
You don't need to show it right now just because we did find an issue with
Yeah.
that earlier where that
Oh, okay.
last page doesn't update. So.
But it will. As soon as Chris and Neil
Yes.
fix that, if you update the vocabulary blocks on any page, it's going to add it to that page at the end.